Hello, St. Columbans. Welcome to St. Columba's Candidate Forum. I am Ryan McNavage, and I am currently on the Vestry and co-chair of the 2021 Nominating Committee with fellow Vestry member Joshua Wilson. Today, we will introduce the parishioners who are on the ballot in this year's parish elections, and we will hear short statements from each of the 6 people running for the Vestry. Before we go to that, I would like to mention a few things. First, I would like to thank the members of the nominating committee. 8 parishioners served on the committee with Josh and me. With their wisdom and commitment, we have an outstanding slate of candidates. Please join me in thanking Martha Kaiser, Charlotte Dean, Gina Lambright, Melissa Luckett, Amy Howe, Jim Barnett, Molly Reynolds, and John Rusciolelli. Second, thanks to each of the candidates for the willingness to serve. Each one brings a wealth of experience, expertise, and love for St. C's. We are fortunate to have leaders like you. Finally, this year's voting will be both online and in person. At the start of the election process, each parishioner will be sent an email with a unique voting link. You may use this link to vote online, or if you prefer, you may vote via paper ballot at St. Columba's November 7th or November 14th. Now let me introduce the candidates. Abigail Gorman and Sarah Glenn are standing for senior and junior warden, respectively. They are running unopposed per the bylaws. Kirsten Schur and Jane Ward are running for diocesan delegate. Alternate diocesan delegate candidates are Chris Schumann, Patty Riley, and Ann Wakefield. This year, there are 4 vestry seats open. 6 candidates are running as are required by the bylaws. The 2021 vestry candidates are Mike Davis, Emily Lawson, Andrew Marshall, Chris Moore, Carrie Peister, Will Vallata. Each was asked to speak for no longer than 4 minutes on 2 topics. First, what experience have you had at St. Columba's and in your broader life that will help you be an effective member of the vestry? And second, what is your perspective on St. Columba's current priorities and its vision for the future? The speaking order was determined randomly. First, we will hear from Carrie Peister.
Hi, St. Columbans. I'm Carrie Peister. I'm a longtime parishioner and current member of the Vestry. It's been a privilege to serve on the Vestry, and I hope you'll support me in serving a second term on the Vestry. I am currently the Vestry member who also serves on the Stewardship Committee, helping lead our efforts to connect with all of you and to inspire you to share your gifts. During the pandemic, one of the projects that the Stewardship Committee took on was making phone calls to parishioners. And I really valued being part of that and helping us make those calls and organize a team to do so. It's a simple task, but I believe it helped us to show that we care for one another, that we're checking in and informing everyone about what's going on at the church when we were apart. And I believe that it was one of the ways we helped sustain each other during some very difficult days. As a vestry member, I also understand that to achieve our priorities that have been identified, we will need resources. And that's why I find this work as a vestry member very meaningful to what we want to accomplish at St. Columba's. I also want to serve again on the vestry because I, like many of you, am passionate about service. Through my involvement in various ministries as the co-chair of the Refugee Response Ministry, as a tutor with Housing Up, and through my involvement with the youth program, I know how important service is to St. Columbans and to reaching out into the community. And I would hope as a vestry member, one of the priorities that is very significant is embracing our world. And that can be embracing families experiencing homelessness, and it can be embracing refugees from Afghanistan, and various ministries that are doing work in our community to achieve greater justice. And I know that to do so, to achieve this priority, we will need resources and staff and knowledge and all of us coming together. And I would be working with my fellow vestry members to ensure that this happens. Thank you for listening, and peace be with you.
Thank you, Carrie. Next, we will hear from Will Vallata.
Hi, I'm Will Vallota. If I look familiar, it might be that you recognize me from my riveting performance as Joseph in the 2016 St. Columba's Christmas pageant. No? Doesn't ring a bell? Well, anyway, I'm grateful to be nominated for a seat on the vestry and for a chance to share a little bit about myself today. I came to St. C's just 6 years ago through my wife Gwen, who knew Ledley from when he was a rector in Philadelphia. And today I couldn't feel more blessed to have found a home at St. Columba's. We're now parents and have made great friendships through the church. We usher in the Great Hall, Gwen has taught Sunday school, and I've participated in the digital engagement working group when St. Columba's moved services online at the start of the pandemic. But these are small contributions, and they pale in comparison to the compassion and willingness to serve that I've seen in so many families at St. Columba's, most of whom have been part of this community for much longer than I. I'm further humbled by the breadth of talent within the St. C's community, from politics to international aid to academia and more. Being early in my own journey at St. C's, I naturally find myself asking the same question you probably are. Why Will Vallota? What might I contribute to the vestry? And so here is my pitch. I've spent my professional life in branding, advertising, and digital marketing. First with big ad agencies and global brands, but more recently in the nonprofit world. And the best part has been the chance to learn about so many different product categories and issues, from the sports industry and lifestyle brands to tech, renewable energy, climate science, and even the economics of racial equity in the labor market. Necessity may be the mother of invention, but variety has been a pretty good teacher. Marketing has taught me to listen with empathy. Marketing has taught me how to relate to people of different ages, races, and lifestyles. And marketing has taught me how creativity can help solve tough problems. I hope these lessons might help me to bring a unique perspective to the vestry, one that complements the skills of the other vestry members so that together we can continue the great work that's being done at St. Columba's. St. Columba's priorities and vision of the future capture all the things I love about this community. I have a lot to learn about these priorities before I can credibly contribute to a discussion about them, but my personal passions come back to racial equity and climate change. What can we do to lessen our own impact on God's creation and to inspire others to do the same? How can we expand our efforts to engage other faiths and other communities? And how can we challenge ourselves and others to break out of our bubbles so that we can bring more people from different backgrounds together? As a member of the vestry, I will not only bring these and other good questions, but also ideas. Ideas for how to better serve our community, ideas for ways to practice our faith, ideas for how we can all live St. Columba's values. And most importantly, I will seek to understand the needs of this community so that we can find the intersection between those needs and the teachings of Jesus. Thank you again for listening. I hope you'll give me a chance to serve on the vestry so that I can give something back to this community, which has already given so much to me and my family.
Thanks, Will. Next, we will hear from Emily Lawson.
Hi, I'm Emily Lawson, and I'm honored to be asked to stand for vestry. I want to give you a mini version of my life story, then tell you about our experiences at St. Columba's and what I would bring to the vestry. I grew up in Washington, close to St. Columba's, with a privileged upbringing. In 7th grade, I was assigned to tutor a boy of my same age in reading and realized after a couple sessions that he could not read. This experience blew my mind and changed my life. I could not understand how two kids growing up 15 minutes apart could have access to two totally different educational experiences that would clearly alter the course of their lives, one for the better, one for the worse. This seemed wrong in the land of opportunity, and it also seemed wrong from a Christian standpoint. I wanted to do something about it, but I wasn't sure what. It took me 15 years to figure out. And then in 2003, I set up DC Prep as a single charter school in Northeast DC. And over the coming years, we created other campuses in Northeast and Southeast and underserved neighborhoods. When I left a couple years ago, we were serving about 1,800 kids on 5 campuses, and we were able to provide them with a strong, nurturing, rigorous education. I found my successor. I still serve on the board, and now I am working as a leadership team member of a global nonprofit, learning about other social impact areas around the world. So, St. Columba's. We have had a wonderful experience. My husband Tom and I and our 3 kids joined the community 8 years ago. We enrolled our kids in the nursery school, and we started coming to the Great Hall service. Our kids loved chasing the chickens on the playground and swinging on the playground and going to class, and they loved the Great Hall service and the donuts afterwards. They attended Sunday school, they sang in the choir, and we spent many Saturdays volunteering at Loaves and Fishes, which we're eager to resume post-pandemic. Recently, I had the opportunity to chair the renovation team with a great group of volunteers and Katie and Amy, and we came up with a terrific plan, which we're all really excited about. So what would I bring to the vestry? I would bring, I think, this background in education and my experience as a parent at St. Columba's. So I would bring kind of an eye on our family ministries. That's one. Second, I think I would be really attuned to our social mission and social impact and all of our different programming and how we're undertaking it and what else we could do. I think that's an important part of our mission. And finally, I think I'd bring some organizational capacity. As the CEO of DC Prep, I had to do fundraising, operations, real estate, HR, etc., oversee those things. And I know at St. Columba's, although the staff and clergy make it look easy, I'm sure it's quite complex behind the scenes, and I'd like to help with that. I recently had the opportunity to go to Ledley's State of the Church meeting, and it was great to hear him say that we're doing well. Given everything, we're doing well. He said it is because of God and of all of us. And he also said that we will be in a time of discernment. What do things look like as we move forward? There's a lot that we've learned. There'll be some things that we leave behind. There'll be new things that we pick up. And so I'd be eager to work with Ledley, our clergy staff, and all of you to help lead us into this next chapter and figure out where we should go as a community and as Christians in the broader community of Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Next, we will hear from Mike Davis.
Hi, I'm Mike Davis. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. My family and I came to St. Columba's around 8 years ago. For many years, I taught Sunday school. In the last couple of years, I've had the privilege of serving on the Finance Committee. That experience in particular has reminded me how much hard work, dedication, and sacrifice goes into making our worship experience appear to be seamless when it's anything but. I grew up in a Baptist family in Ohio. I went to a Christian high school, college, and seminary. My parents wanted me to become a minister, but I realized that that wasn't my calling and decided I'd be better off as a lawyer, believe it or not. From there, I've practiced law for many years with the Department of Justice Tax Division and currently with the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. Over the years, I strayed a little from my faith, and that score, finding St. Columba's has been a lifesaver and has really rejuvenated my spirit spiritually. Every time I walk into the nave, I thank God that I've found this place and have been able to be a part of this community, as I'm sure many of you have as well. One of the things which Ledley says almost every Sunday is that St. Columba's is on a mission to live God's love. And I believe that wholeheartedly, as I do the 4 priorities which are part of our current mission, which is building faith, strengthening community, embracing the world, and building capacity. I think all of these things are not only lofty ideals, but achievable by this parish over the next several years. One of the things that's always deeply impressed me about St. Columba's is the width and breadth of worship opportunities we have, whether it be the water ministry, homeless ministry, environment committee, or teaching Sunday school. These are tremendous opportunities which enable us to live out the kingdom of God in truly powerful ways which benefits many people. What the pandemic has taught me also, however, though, is that it's important that we nurture and embrace and improve our faith on a daily basis as much as we can. Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these other things will be added to you as well." And so my hope, whether I'm on the vestry or not, is that St. Columba's worship experience, whether it be through music, private or corporate prayer, counseling services, and all the other ministries that are provided to the parishioners, help us to move to the next level. So I hope I've answered the question. These are my thoughts. God bless you.
Thanks, Mike. Next, we will hear from Andrew Marshall.
Hello, my name is Andrew Marshall. I'm a candidate for the Vestry, and I've been asked to say a few words about myself and the abilities that I would bring to the Vestry, but also about my view of the Church and its future. I've lived here in Washington and been going to St. Columba's since 2014, when my wife and I moved down to Washington from New York just before our daughter was born. Some of you will know me as the chief usher from the children's service on Sunday. My wife Elizabeth is an energetic member of the Mothers Group. Our daughter Alice spent 2 years at St. Columba's nursery school and is now very happy in the children's service and at Columba Crew on a Sunday. We've really enjoyed being part of the community. We find it very inspiring with many, many friends there. It's very much the centre of our life. I think I can bring a couple of things to it in terms of abilities. The first is communications. I worked for many years as a journalist. I know that I'm in a church that's full of journalists and some very distinguished ones. I was a foreign correspondent for British newspapers here in the United States and around Europe. Nowadays, I work in communications for a foreign policy think tank, having worked in non-profits for a few years, and communications is still very much my focus. Communications to me is about not just about being noticed, but about engaging with your community. It's about actually connecting with them, whether that be through publications or podcasts or videos or blogs or a website or social media. I'm quite enthused by digital media. I spend a lot of my time thinking about it and working on it. It's something that I think the church has done a really great job of over the past few years. And I'd love to see if there are new ways that we can find to reach new people and also to engage the large and active community we have. That large and active community involves a great deal of organisation and management. And one of the things that I admire about the church is the way in which it manages to keep all those parts moving along. Not just what we do on Sunday, but what is done through the rest of the week in the many different ministries of the church. And another thing that I think I can bring is an understanding of organisation and management and how you get people to be happily, creatively involved in a large endeavour like a church. It's a wonderful thing. I certainly bring some humility about that, but I'm interested to see what I can do to help that. My humility also stems from my inspiration that I draw from the vision of the future of the church that we sketched out a couple of years ago. I thought that the church did a terrific job of doing that, and I think its ability to be articulate and organised and forceful about its values is really, really laudable, and I'd love to be a part of that. I think that there are many things about that vision that inspire me. Firstly, the fact that it's very focused on action and service in the world. I think that's very important, especially for a community like ours. I think the largest parish in the Episcopal Diocese of Washington, a prosperous and active and energetic place. Secondly, I'm very enthused by the idea of us being an anti-racist church. That isn't an easy thing to do. It raises lots of challenges that I know we will be confronting. But I think that anything less in Washington, D.C. in 2021 in the United States would have been hard to sustain. It's something we need to work on. It's something I need to work on. And again, I look forward to doing that with other people. The other aspect I found very inspiring of the church's vision is its intergenerational appeal. I think that one of the most appealing and interesting things about the church is that we do continue to bring in people, whether it's very young people coming to play with crayons at the service that I attend on a Sunday, or people that in many cases have been in the church for decades, who bring great wisdom and insight about the way that the community works. Being able to pull those together into one group that's larger than the sum of its parts is a very impressive and very important thing. And it's something that I would love to work on and help to support as part of the Vestry.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, we will hear from Chris Moore.
Hello, I'm Chris Moore. I'm a member of an ancient and sacred religion, the Christian Church. We also belong to a church, St. Columba's, that is adapting and innovating during a very challenging time and place. Both realities are critical, and integrating our sacred traditions with the concerns of this age represent a profound yet energizing challenge. We need to support the spiritual growth of individuals, families, children, and youth in our parish. That's bedrock, and it will require an array of opportunities in varied formats, times, and places, both on the internet and in person. We also need to help meet the needs of our community to address racism, climate change, immigration, homelessness, and childcare, for example. Education will be valuable, of course, but we also will need to engage in direct action and service in our community. For example, housing up. At the same time, we need to sustain our beloved church and support the staff. Developing a master plan that integrates and supports each of these critical directions, church members, church staff, and the larger community, will require thoughtful engagement from a broad group of varied individuals. I believe that I have a set of skills and experiences to help address these needs. I've been a member for more than 30 years. I chair the Environment Committee. I serve as an usher. I was a member of the Vision Task Force that selected homelessness as an issue and hired Cami Cottle as our missioner for community engagement. I'm a social psychologist and I study children, youth, and families. I built a nonprofit organization, which I headed for 14 years, to study issues related to children and families. And I am currently a member of the Vestry. I have appreciated the opportunity to live God's love as a member of St. Columba and the St. Columba's Vestry, and I hope I can continue in that role. God bless you.
That concludes the candidate statements. Over to Joshua Wilson for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Ryan. And thanks again to all of our candidates for their commitment to St. Columba's and their willingness to serve our faith community. A brief word on voting. Voting opens today and remains open until 2 p.m. Sunday, November 14th. Parishioners qualified to vote and who have a valid email address in St. Columba's online database, Realm, will receive an email with information on voting, as well as a link to vote online through SurveyMonkey. The link is unique to each individual and may be used only once. Paper ballots are also available at the church on Sunday, November 7th and Sunday, November 14th. You may choose to vote either online or via a paper ballot. Again, each qualified parishioner may vote one time. Election results will be announced on Monday, November 15th. That's it. Thanks, everybody.